It's Kitty Blue again, just checking in, and here we are joined by Mädchen Amick. I really hope I just said your name right.
Long A's, Mädchen, Amick.
Mädchen Amick.
But it was very close.
It was okay, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, there you go. Mädchen
Mädchen,
Mädchen Amick. I will get it. I will get it. So we are joined, and we are going to talk about Twin Peaks, what happened afterwards, and general chit chat. So, are you doing okay today?
Doing very good. Just got to meet so many amazing fans and got to talk to so many people and how the show's touched their lives over the years. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that leads us on to my first question, which is, how do you feel that the actual following of the show has progressed and changed over the last 25 years with things like social media now being so prevalent?
Yeah. Well, that's what's bizarre, because we had a really big following back in the day, and that was without social media. That was out all the publicity. I can't even imagine what it would have been like back then when it came out, if we had all that. I don't necessarily, I see that people are talking about it through social media, but I think the feel and the artistry behind the show still stays. It's very classic. But it's going to be very interesting when the next season comes out, what that's like.
I was just about to say, you don't know, or you said that you're not sure how it would have been back in the day when it first came out with things like social media. So, it is going to be a big deal for a lot of people. And something I find really interesting is it's actually kind of come through the ages, come through the generations.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you've met a lot of people today. Do you find that that's actually, correct?
Well, it's fascinating to me that we have the original fans, and we're not that old, by the way, just so you know. All of the original fans are all young and beautiful and fabulous. But, and then you have all the, the next generation below them, and then there's another generation. Somebody came up and said that their 9-year-old daughter was a huge fan.
Wow, that's amazing. I love it. I love it. So I want to talk about your character, really. Now, Shelley is quite a poignant role, and it's a storyline that's really close to my own heart with the domestic abuse. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the progression in Shelley from a victim to a survivor?
I think David and Mark saw probably the only way that I could play Shelley. It was very hard for me to just be a victim and not fight back. And I was like, wait, what? What do you mean? No, So I think they kind of took my cues as well. But she had this little mischievous side to her. And she found maybe she couldn't, say, physically fight back to Leo because he dominated over her. But she was able to survive mentally, and she always had a very optimistic spirit about her, and that's what I did love about her, and that's why she was a survivor.
I love that. I love that so much because, it is an important subject, and it is something that must be really difficult to play. Did you find that you found it hard to leave it at the door, so to speak? You take it home personally, and since the role, do you find yourself being an advocate for, the fight against domestic abuse?
When I filmed it, I could definitely leave it at the door. It was hard for me to even get into that skin of having to play the victim, and because I wasn't raised that way. I was raised really with female empowerment by my mom and my dad. So, but that's what I've enjoyed seeing, and that's what I liked in her. It's really more about really rooting for strong females, and in whatever form they are, and they come in very different shapes and sizes, not meaning physically, but you know what I mean, like metaphorically, and just celebrating just the beauty of being a female and being proud of it. So that's what I really have taken, and that's what I have enjoyed seeing over the years.
It's such a beautiful sentiment to have. I love that. It makes the world a bit of a brighter place. So thank you for that.
Women are beautiful. We have
Absolutely.
to celebrate them. And celebrate each other.
Totally.
Yep.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Well, sadly, we're going to have to let you go now, so...
Oh, but we were just getting to know each other.
I know, right? We can be friends. Like, I'll give you my email.
Okay, good. All right, good.
I love it. We will actually give you a card so we can be really cheeky and say, watch our video. But it has been lovely to meet you and lovely to talk to you, so thank you very, very much.
Absolutely. Great to meet you, too.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, thank you.
Yeah, good. Are you enjoying the festival itself?
I love the festival. This is probably the best festival I've been to.
Oh, no way. Have you been to the UK one before?
No, this is my first time.
And have you actually been to the UK before?
I actually have been to the UK before.
And where else did you go? Did you see a lot of things?
No, because I'm going to just really be... I just came for the festival. I gotta get back home tonight.
So, when you were playing Audrey, she is very upfront and a little bit, I don't know, bordering on uncomfortable. Were there any times that you thought, oh my god, I wish I could say that or do that in reality?
I don't think so. If I'm really honest, I kind of have a big mouth. David met me for 15 minutes and then wrote Audrey for me. So he kind of got who I was, which is astonishing that somebody can meet you for that quick and get you. And yeah. I think if anything, she maybe empowered me to keep going forward and be strong, say my truth.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that. Because she actually gave you the confidence to do those things.
Yeah, well, the way that I learned to act is to grow through your characters. I mean, it's not like you figure it all out and then present a package. So he met me at a time where I was a young woman, where I was discovering whatever strength I had or powers I had, and falling madly in love, and so we just weave that in. I mean, that's what I did as an actor.
I love that. Now, talking about David Lynch, I know you were in boxing Elena, depending on how you want to say it. How did you find the differences and the similarities between working with David Lynch and his daughter?
I mean, I think the biggest difference is the obvious one, the difference of working with a man and a woman. Jen is one of my closest friends. We're completely in each other's lives, and that film changed my life. I mean, there was much deeper work there. There was so much to go into. So, and that was years later. I wouldn't compare them at all. They're very, very different. I mean, the only... I would say, I guess, what David taught, of course, his daughter, and the same thing that he had taught me, is to not be afraid of darkness, and that there's great beauty in darkness, and to, pursue that, go towards it, and learn about those things. And Jennifer definitely has that. She's courageous.
I got back into it. My favourite characters. So much. So absolutely lovely meeting you, Shelley.
Thank you.
Hi, so it's Kitty Blue again, and we're joined here by Al Strobel. I nearly pronounced your name wrong, and it's not that difficult, is it? It's been a long day. So I'd like to say thank you so much for joining us, Al.
Oh my, it's my pleasure. the person that puts this show on, Lindsay Bowden, is one of the best people out there, and I would do anything for Lindsay.
Oh, that's so lovely to hear. So I take it you're enjoying the weekend?
Oh, yeah. London is one of my favorite towns in the world. I've been here for probably a dozen times.
Oh, yeah?
It is probably the most civilized town that I've ever been to.
You never ridden the tube at rush hour then?
Oh, yeah. Even there it's civilized. Matter of fact, when I flew in, I missed connections with Lindsay to drive into town. So I just bought an Oyster Pass, which is one of the cooler things about transportation here in London, and rode the tube in, and it was about rush hour when that was going on.
Cool. I would love to speak about your character, Mike. Now, as the one-armed man, as Mike, how did you integrate the two characters of, someone who is very mild-mannered and polite and loving to the world, and then all of a sudden flips to the complete polar opposite and goes a little like psychotic break?
Well, it's just kind of written into the script that way, and I've had a lot of training and a lot of experience in theater, so that whatever is called upon, I can pretty much hit the mark. The only thing that I know that is true is that you just remember your lines and hit your mark, and the rest of it flows out. And because the way Twin Peaks was written, I didn't really have to add a whole lot of, trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing. It was just there in the lines, and I was able to just read the lines the way it made sense to me. And that together with a lot of work in theater that worked out. I like to think that I'm a nice guy. I live very peacefully in the Pacific Northwest woods, Twin Peaks country, and I've lived there since 1962, off and on. And I love the peace and quiet. My house is surrounded by huge Doug fir trees, 50, 60 meters tall. And there are owls living up there in the trees, and squirrels, and I feed hummingbirds year-round, so they're always buzzing around. And the deer, there's probably a dozen deer that live right close by that keep walking by my front door all the time. Little white-tailed deer with their little white tails sticking up.
Oh, yeah.
And wild turkeys, and just all of the great stuff that you'll find in the Northwest woods. That's how I like to live. But I also love scaring the bejeebers out of people, which is, the good Lord blessed me with a voice that was able to hit some of those power notes. And so when it comes time to do that, to be scary, I can be pretty scary.
So yeah, it's really cool. I love that it is like the complete polar opposite. Now, obviously, your kind of character connection between Mike and Bob is a really interesting kind of interplay. Did you guys kind of work separately and the characters just flowed naturally, or did you have to do a lot of work together and develop those characters, in union?
No, it became pretty apparent from the script how that developed, and I assume you're talking about Frank Silva's Bob. Here's another contrast. Frank, in real life, is probably the sweetest man that you would ever meet, and I'm sure everybody's told you that, because he was just the most wonderfully sweet man. but he could also scare the bejesus out of people. and so it was kind of fun, playing that back and forth and using the rich material that we were given to do that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Al, again, sadly, we're going to have to let you go and end our interview. So it has been amazing to meet you, and you genuinely are such a lovely guy. So I am, even more enthralled by the interplay between yourself and Mike. Your character, and Mike.
Well, there is, we cannot forget Michael J. Anderson, too, who is as David explained it, he is my left arm.
Yes.
And it was a lot of fun working with Michael.
Yeah.
And we actually palled around a bit.
Okay.
Offset. I kind of miss him too. I was going to add one thing, and maybe your
please go ahead.
Maybe your audience would be interested in that. In 1967, I was in San Francisco practicing architecture at that time.
Wow.
And I got involved in a production of Three Penny Opera, the professional production.
Yeah.
And in the cast, along with some others, was Catherine Coulson and Jack Nance.
So you'd actually met them before Twin Peaks?
Way before, 1967.
Yeah.
I mean, at least 20 years had passed since we had seen each other, and we went through all of the filming and everything, and did not realize until the wrap party of Fire Walk with Me that we had actually worked together in San Francisco in this magnificent production of Three Penny Opera.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Al, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet you.
So I would like to, dedicate our interview to Catherine.
Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, we are going to miss her because,
we're going to miss her a lot. We're going to miss her very, very much.
Yeah, I mean, you guys all seem to be, so kind of interknitted, if you like. You're all kind of genuine friends, and I would absolutely say that all of this is a dedication to Catherine.
Not a bad egg in the entire cast or crew, which is very unusual, because in our business there are egos that would sometimes get really out of place, but not with Twin Peaks.
That's so lovely to hear. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, ma'am. Shake your hand.
Shake your hand.
You love it. Rose.
Great. I'm more like